All right, so I am getting word that we are ready. So we are going to be going to join ProAsec with Hot Wheels World Race. So ProAsec, take it away.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome to the channel. My name is Prozek, and this is, as hinted before, Hot Wheels World Race, a 2003 racing game based on the fantastically famous Mattel brand and a direct-to-DVD terrible film of the same name. It was released by, or developed by Climax Studio and published by THQ, and despite its middling critical success, it was actually very popular with everyone who played it, and since 2017, speedrunners. So we're going to be getting underway in Rookie League here in just a second, and I'm going to be using this car, the Golden Arrow, which is considered to be the best quote-unquote car for the main strats that we use. There are a few more that people do use, which are Power Pistons here, is apparently quite good. A friend of mine, Bengals, uses Power Rocket here, which is very speedy. One person uses Grease Lightning, which is terrible and no one should copy them. And a few others here and there. So Mega Duty here is what was in an old TAS run. Seared Tuner is what the initial run was done with. And I occasionally use So Fast, which is also terrible, but it makes another strategy kind of nice. Anyway, we will get underway as soon as I hit accept here. So count it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Beat that.
Thank you very much. As we get underway into Cloud 9. So the first thing you're going to be seeing is the main movement strategy of the game. This is called shuffling, and essentially this is what happens when you drift while boosting. And you'll see it here right now. I can get up to some pretty spicy speeds, even if I'm doing it not exactly optimally. The game tries to keep you at a 200 miles per hour speed cap, but it isn't always successful. So why does this happen? Well, as it turns out, when a car is going sideways over a boost pad, the game has to first correct it to go straight in the direction of the pad when you're in order to apply the boost, but it then tries to correct it back so you don't notice the difference, and in doing that it pushes even more speed onto the car. So the faster you go, or the more sideways you go, the more speed you get off of the pad, or indeed off of the Nightbox boost, which you can see me collecting by landing mainly. 2 tricks and the landing will allow you to fill up that gauge on the right side of the screen, and this means that you can pop a boost pretty much wherever you like. You don't have to rely on the position of boost pads. You don't get quite as much redirection force from it though, so it's not quite as efficient, but the flexibility is fantastic. So boost shuffling, as it was originally known, was discovered by Voltec GK and several casual runners around about 2017, start of the season. But it wasn't until Eclipse came along and pulled a world record out for this category in particular that we knew that you could do it on all sorts of boosts. We'll get into a little bit more about where it was found first a little bit later. But there is another way to get boost, and it's very important that I talk about it on this track, Satellite City, because it is uniquely the only track in the game in any category that has no jumps whatsoever. So how do we get the boost? Well, you might have been paying attention in the first track and seen me grab it up in the first couple of laps from these rings here. Getting 19 of those on the PC version, or 20 on console for some reason, because sporting is hard, I guess, will fill up that boost gauge as well. And as a result of that, certainly on this ring, what your routing is to collect those rings is incredibly important. We want to get, yes, our full gauge here. Ooh, as I spin down, not too bad, not too great either. I want to get it before this sort of chicane we come to here. And if I can get the full boost, then I can do this nice little Nitrox shuffle. And that uses the full potential of it. It's the fastest route down for this track. If I didn't get the half or the full boost there, then I could fill up on some rings and take about halfway down. It's not quite as efficient, you know, but getting one half and one full shuffle out of it is generally considered pretty good for Satellite City. There are 100 pickups on every single course. There's 100 rings, that is, and you can, get whatever you need. But if you collect all of them, then you'll be well on your way to a extended category in this game called All Pickups, where you need to collect all 1,500 rings that are available throughout the game. Of course, it requires a lot of routing, because as you can see, I've gone all 3 laps avoiding rings right at that start. You do need to take different routing into consideration. Since this is just a generic league category, I don't need to worry too much about it. This track is also a good showcase of something called a corkscrew shuffle. So corkscrews are mean in this game, and it's why this used to be one of my biggest reset points. You're up on 3 wheels on that, no matter what you're doing. And when you have less wheels in contact with the ground, your friction, as the game calls it, your essentially stickiness to the floor, is reduced. Meaning you can spin out easier, you can get popped up and all over the place. It's really not great. We might see later... No, I don't think we do. He's in the wrong place. The car you can see in 5th place, belonging to... Oh, nice. That was actually one of my top 10. Belonging to a guy called Alex. That's the switchback car. Has a weird hitbox. That means on certain corkscrews, it can just fall off of the track. We don't know why that car in particular. It's something to do with what its hitbox is about and where its wheels are in relation to it. But yeah, it's amusing. We might see it, we might not, we probably won't. Oh well. So we are now on Vapor City, the 3rd track, and therefore the midway point for the 6-track run. And this is a brilliant course. I absolutely love it. It is, in my opinion, the best track in the game. As you can see, it's got this big loop, which is where shuffling was initially discovered. In addition to that, see how I'm keeping my nitrox meter until after I already land. Instead of doing as you'd expect and wasting the meter as I get the reward for landing, I can actually make use of the nitrox I've got stored up just before it rewards me, and essentially get a free use of it in a more optimal location. This is called refill tech, and it's really quite tight to pull off. Not like frame perfect or anything, but yeah, it can be messy. Another trick that's on this track, which is essentially considered one of the forbidden techniques of this game that you don't do in a full game run, is loop skip. So you may have noticed on that loop that there's a central partitioning wall separating the left side of it from the right side of it. Well, if you're very lucky or using a car with exposed tires like So Fast, as I mentioned earlier, you can clip through that and save something like half a second every lap, which is insane. Coming down the backstretch here, and I want to avoid that pad because it'll slow me down actually, since I'm going over 200. Boost pads like to slow you down to 200 because that's, the soft speed cap. They want it. You may have also noticed in this ramp, in this course, that I had to slow down and take slightly different routing through the hairpin on lap 3. That's because I'm so far ahead of the AI that I can't rely on it to pick up the boost in time. It's something we have to consider on several tracks, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to that. Here on Tesla's Cube, though, I want you to pay attention to the ramp and how far it takes me when I jump off. Not too far, it's far enough to close the gap, fortunately, for all our racers here, but it's nothing insane. And if we want to extend it, as you may have seen on the previous track, then we will need to use our nitrox meter. Wouldn't it be brilliant if we could use that nitrox somewhere else and still get the benefit? Not quite as much as I would like, but there you are. That is a technique called fast ramp. There's a few variations of it we'll see later on, but it essentially allows you to use your nitrox on the long straight ahead of a ramp and get all that speed back. It is very handy, and it still gives you the same distance because we're hitting the ramp at way too high a speed. It doesn't calculate correctly. It sort of loses its pathing, if you will. I'm not using a chicane Nitrox shuffle here on lap 2, by the way. This is because I'm taking advantage of something I've not spoken about, the flame aura. So if you do the button combinations that are prompted at the top of the screen every time you do a jump, oops, that's unfortunate, 3 times in a row, then you will receive a benefit to pretty much all the main stats of the car. So your speed, your boost, your handling, your grip, all of these things are improved, which is very handy. That means that I can go through the chicane without worrying too much, and I don't lose time as much as I would here on lap 3 for not doing it. Or for not doing a Nitrox. There we are. Nice and textbook fast ramp there. Absolutely fantastic. And you see the trail of rings showing how far a regular Nitrox jump would have taken me. And yeah, we can match that without any issue whatsoever, thanks to fast ramp. Going on. That's actually pretty respectful. All right, we're going to be moving on to Space Out, and I do want to start this a little bit sooner because we're going to see a trick again right at the start of the run. This is called Slingshot. This was recently discovered, or rather recently labbed out and confirmed to save time by Bacon, a community member. And as you can see, I'm driving backwards. That's not good. But there's a boost, so I can get up to 300 without any worries at all. And already I'm up into 3rd position. Usually, if you're just running it normally, you'd be stuck in 5th at best at this stage before you go into the shortened section there, the slimmer track. And I can also get ahead of the AI to hit that boost pad so it doesn't get in the way. Once again, some looping, always good. And yeah, this track has a lot going for it, but it also has a bit of infamy regarding it. So here at the end or the start-finish line, you can see, or I could just lose the input for the Nitrox, so I'll just hit it normally. You can see there was a drop down there and a raise up here. On the drop down, if you're going around 300 miles per hour or any faster, then you will hit a kill plane or something that's mechanically similar to it. And if you're going over to 40 on the rise up, then you'll have the same problem. You'll get reset, you'll lose all your speed. Very, very inconvenient. As it turns out, going fast, it's good, but you can go too fast. So this happens because of something in the game which is like a tether between the track and the car. You can't see it, but imagine there's a rubber band attaching at all times to the bottom of the track. Yep, there you are. I've just showcased it. That was totally intentional. Not a mistake at all. And that tether is essentially waiting to be pulled taut before snapping back and pulling you to the closest bit of track. It can produce some funky results, as you won't see in this category, but in longer ones which hit the track deep zone, you can actually snap that back in the wrong position and get attached to a piece of track later on and skip a huge section. Speaking of skips, by the way, I didn't mention that fast ramp in Tesla's Cube saves about 6 seconds all 3 laps, so that is crazy. Oop, missing the pads, as is my want, but we got through the line without too much fuss. All right, we're now moving on to the very last track, and this is another one with a trick that's right at the beginning. This is going to be Mist Mountain. So there's a bit of a meme in the community that there is no such thing as a good Mist Mountain split, and that is because of this trick that I'm about to show off. Remember when I said we need to route around collecting the flame wheel pickups to unlock these orange barriers that I've just driven past? Well, unfortunately, despite there being some rings to pick up on the way here, there is physically no way to get enough to pop a Nitrox on the first Nitrox requiring round, which means we can't get the flame wheel pickup. But here, not quite enough distance, unfortunate. That would be a technique called free ramp, a variation on fast ramp, which essentially shoots you as far as a Nitrox shuffle would, or a Nitrox ramp would, without having to spend anything for benefit. It saves about 1 second optimally, but it also saves you having to go down that windy bit of road, which is difficult to drive optimally. As you saw there, I was not optimal in the slightest. We've opened up that wall on the left, remember that, because there was a barrier right at the start of the race, of the course, which we could not pass through. That wall right there is what opens it up. On lap 2, we will need to go up that wall ourselves because once again, we've gone so far ahead of the AI that there's just no way it can get to that pickup in time, lower the barrier, save us time. So yes, you'll see just here in a second that what free ramp would have looked like had I actually hit it. It would have looked something like that, and I'd be able to take this shortcut here. Very nice. You can also see me intentionally not getting the button combinations. That's because I'm holding the flame aura until it's most useful at the end of the lap. That's just something I do. It's not necessarily optimal. But yeah, it saves you a little of time in that lava room we see at the end with all chicanes. Here I go up the wall and down it again. There is a technique to do that without the nitrox and get a bit of speed back. I call this illegal shuffle, but it turns out that loops, spirals, the corkscrew that we saw earlier, that is, and walls all have a sort of continuous boost for 2 seconds once you join them, which can essentially start a shuffle at any point during that 2 seconds, and you'll still increase over the speed. By the way, we're on lap 3. This is, once again, the final race of the category, so I will be... Yeah, it will be time as soon as I come over the start-finish line here at the end of lap 3. And you know what? It's been scrummy, but I do think this has gone well. I've shown off all the things I want to. There are a few more techniques, you know. I didn't get to show off loop skip, which I do enjoy showing, but unfortunately is a restricted to individual levels, and only then, even if you're really insane about it and using a car that is otherwise a bit dog. Here we go then, time coming up in just a second, assuming I don't crash into the wall and waste another 5, and we will see what our final time was. There it is, that's time. 3:14 on that final track, not the finest in the world, but otherwise very nice. And yeah, that's the category. It's not the longest in the world by any means, and despite that, I think it's very fun, you know. I really enjoy running it. It's short, it's sweet, it's very competitive. Looks like that was a 15:21 RTA. Very nice time indeed. My word. Okay, so I guess some quick shout-outs then. I should shout out our world record holder, Drew, who actually taught me a lot about the game in the run-up to this marathon, as well as Bacon, who not only discovered the strategy for Slingshot, but also taught me a more consistent setup for free ramp there in the last track, and a few other things. Shoutouts to our moderators as well, they do good work. Shout out to my frequent collaborator, Lol Bengals, and of course to Master Kurik, who held their fort for this game for 2 years during its big lull between 2017 and now, and really did a lot for this game, so I cannot thank you enough. If you're interested, do join our Discord. It's accessible through the speedrun.com page, and we have a tournament coming up, actually. This will be an individual level tournament, you know, showdown with people, see what you can compare. I am very interested to see how it goes. We've got some big names. I've got nothing more to shout out. You can find me on Twitch at Prosec, nothing too fancy about it. And you can also find my YouTube channel under the same name, where I upload a few funny clips here and there, as well as my PBs. Thank you very much. I'll throw it back to the host. This has been wonderful. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your generosity. Shout out to the Trevor Project. Great charity I care a lot for. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.
Thank you so much, Prosec. That was awesome.